Hey everyone, good morning and good evening. Okay, let's start with today's session and let's see what we are doing today. Okay, so even today we'll focus on storage account itself. Today we'll talk about Azure files. Okay, so in storage account, most of the time, with the maximum time you will be using the containers wherein you'll be storing blobs, and the next very useful thing which you will be using mainly will be Azure files. For very simple reason, Azure files is a replacement of your standard file share server. So because of that simple reason, this is Azure files is something you'll come across a lot. Tables and queues very rarely. Why? Because tables are not a replacement of your database. So you have non-SQL databases if your application is using any databases, and if they want any place to store non-SQL data, then definitely they will go with some licensed databases. They will not use storage account. And queues, for the same reason, if they want to use queues, they will need some sort of synchronized queue wherein they will have features like FIFO, LIFO. FIFO is nothing but first in first out, and such features only they will be using it. Okay, so keeping that in mind, we'll focus on Azure files now. We'll see what exactly is Azure files, and if time permits, we'll try to mount the file on Linux VM. Okay, so what we'll do, we'll understand what exactly is Azure files, then we'll create Azure files. So for Azure files we need to enable NFS, guys. So in order to enable NFS, we need to have premium. Standard will not work, so we'll stick with premium. Okay, now we'll create one more storage account in which we'll be selecting premium with NFS option. And then if we want to demonstrate how do we mount and everything, then there is a very important concept we need to understand is private and service endpoints. So what exactly is private endpoint and what exactly is service endpoint, this is something we need to understand before we jump on. Then we'll have a demo wherein we'll mount file share on Linux machine. I think someone has asked this question yesterday. Okay, so these are the topics which we will cover today. So what exactly is NFS? What exactly is Azure files? So Azure files offers fully managed file share in the cloud. So if anyone has used file share servers, what exactly it is, can someone tell me what is a traditional file share server? What is the use of it? Anyone? What is a traditional file share server and what exactly is the use of it? Anyone has used in the company? No one?
No one. We're not used to this. This is just our first time. I don't know about others, but yeah, I have no idea of others.
Okay, no problem. Thank you. So files,
Uh,
yeah,
I believe the file shares continuously syncing the files, right? Using Samba shares or FNS modes.
correct. Samba is the right word.
Yeah.
So file share is nothing but, if I want to explain in a layman term, it's nothing but it's a server with lot of storage, and that storage is shared across multiple teams in your company. That is what file share server is all about. It's nothing, it's just a storage location wherein there are multiple teams in your company who are using that storage location and they are sharing their files. That's it. Nothing big deal. Okay, but the only difference is this is something was managed by us. It was, the server was kept on our own data center, wherein we used to go and purchase the storage, the hardware, attach it, create a file share server on top of it, then start sharing it with the team. That is the traditional way of what file share server is all about. And there are protocols, Samba protocol, NFS protocol, if you want to connect. So that is what file share server is all about. Same thing is Azure Files also, guys, nothing different. The only difference is you don't have to worry about the hardware part now. You don't have to worry about the storage part now. Everything is taken care by Microsoft. Microsoft is setting up the file share path for you. They will give you the storage. The only thing is you have to go and just use it. That's it. You need to create your file share. You have to create your Azure files, mount it on your VMs and start using it. It is that simple. Okay, so the only difference is from the traditional, this is on cloud now. So if you go to any company where they are using file share path even now, so this is what they will have. They will have a server with a lot of storage on it, and if you ask you that I want some location where I can store my logs, my application logs and things like that, then they will give you a drive access, and that drive will be mounted on your local VM where your application is running, and all your logs and everything will get start syncing to that file share. Okay, and about syncing, you can keep it synchronous or asynchronous. That is totally up to you how you want to sync it. Okay, so that is what traditional, if you do a comparison, that is what traditional file share is all about. So what exactly Azure Files gives you? What are the benefits it gives you? The first benefit Azure Files will give you is it replaces on-prem file servers. That is the first benefit. Okay, so it will go and replace that. So you don't need on-prem file share server now. You can directly come to cloud and use it, and it is way cheaper than to your traditional approach. In your tradition, you have to go and procure those hardware. You have to have network attached storages, devices. You need to go and buy it, attach it, manage it. There are multiple things. You need a system admin guy, you need a network admin guy, you need a storage admin guy to do all this for you. Okay, wherein now you just have to with few clicks you will have your file share server ready. That is the beauty of Azure Files. Lift and shift applications. So if you have any existing application which is there on the file share, you can simply lift everything and you can put it in Azure Files. It has simplified cloud development. It's very easy nowadays, guys. I'll show you how exactly things are done. Now if you have experience of file share server before, you will know the difference, how clumsy it was and how difficult it was to manage everything. Now with Azure Files, it is not that difficult. Okay, easy to use. You can have access given to particular people. If you want individual access, even that is possible. It is completely managed. It's a managed service, guys. So this is managed by Microsoft, so we don't do much. It's all managed. The storage is given, the access path and everything is given. It's completely managed. Okay, and you'll have the resiliency of Azure. So that is what Azure Files is for you. There are two protocols using which this all happens. Azure Files, there are two protocols. The one is SMB. Okay, many people call this as Samba, but this is nothing but it is server message block. This is a protocol. The second protocol is NFS. NFS is nothing but it's a network file system protocol. Network file system protocol. Okay, so these are, and there's one more, Azure Files REST APIs. Using REST APIs also you can do. So these are the three protocols using which you will be able to share your files concurrently through cloud or on-prem deployment. Okay, we'll make use of NFS over here, guys, because I want to mount it through my Linux VM. So NFS is something will be NFS works basically on Linux client. If you're using Windows, then this is the protocol which you will be using. So we'll stick with NFS. Okay, now let's go ahead and create a file share first, and let's see how exactly it is created. So let's create a storage account, then we'll talk about this private and service endpoint and why exactly this is needed. Then we'll talk about that. Okay, let's go open portal. Okay, so let's go and create a storage account. Storage. Okay. Give me one quick minute. Okay, give any name if you want. Name it as devopsmela SA. East US. Performance we cannot select standard, and then you will not get an NFS option in standard. So you have to go with premium one, in which you will get the NFS option. Okay. Premium. In this I can go and select file share. So best for enterprise high performance application that needs to scale. So this is the option which you need to select, file share. And over here you can select redundancy as LRS, because ZRS will have more costing, so we'll stick with LRS for now. Okay, rest all other information such as all this, just keep it as it is. We are not making any changes over here, so just keep it as it is. The only change I want to do is I just want to disable this soft delete, because what will happen once we start putting things, it will not let us delete things for 7 days, so I don't want to keep it. So definitely you have to practice such things when you are setting up the complete architect. Okay, review and create. Okay, so this is getting created. While this is getting created, let's go to the PPT. Where is the PPT? Okay, Azure endpoints. So there are two endpoints, guys, private endpoints and service endpoints. Okay, what exactly this endpoint is? Nothing but, if you talk about private endpoints, it allows you to access Azure PaaS services over a private IP. What exactly is PaaS services? Anyone? We did this PaaS, IaaS, SaaS at the very beginning. Anyone wants to try what are the PaaS services right now? Is storage account is a PaaS service, or is it IaaS service?
Storage is a PaaS,
Correct.
like
So
SQL Server, any application.
perfect. So that's platform as a service. You have given a platform. The platform is given and it is completely managed by the providers. So that comes in PaaS, correct? So storage account is a PaaS service. SQL Server is a PaaS service. What is Azure VMs? Is it a PaaS or it's infra as a service?
VM infra.
Perfect. Okay, so private endpoints allow you to access Azure PaaS services over a private IP address within the virtual network. It gets your new private IP on your VNet. When you send traffic to PaaS, it always ensures the traffic stays within your VNet. What do I mean by this? Let's go to a diagram. Now this is your virtual network. In your virtual network you got two VMs, VM1, VM2, and you got a NIC card attached to your virtual network, and this is your storage account. So with this private endpoint, what it makes sure that your traffic remains within this virtual network. Even though storage account is kept in the cloud side, but the traffic remains within the virtual network. So all the transaction will happen using private IP. No public IP in between anywhere. All the transaction will happen using private IP. So if you want to mount, suppose your Azure files is right over here in your storage account. If you want to mount this onto a VM, it will get mounted and all your transaction will happen using this private endpoint. Let's go back. Again, read through it. Private endpoints allows you to access Azure PaaS services over a private IP address. So all your transaction, everything will happen within the virtual network and it will happen through a private IP, making sure no traffic is going on the internet. Even though it happens through a backbone network of Azure, goes through internet, but you will not have any public IP anywhere. Nothing, no public IP, everything will happen using private IP. It will also ensure traffic stays within your VNet. So this is very important from the security perspective, that all your traffic stays within your VNet. Okay. On the other hand, we got Azure service endpoints. Now service endpoint provides secure and direct connectivity to the Azure PaaS services over an optimized route. So this is a service endpoint. It goes in public, but the only difference is it will not take the common route which everyone takes. It will have a optimized backbone network created just for end-to-end network created by Microsoft. Using that end-to-end network, the transaction will take place. Traffic still left your VNet and hit the public endpoint of the PaaS service. So in this, traffic will go outside your VNet and it will hit the storage account. See this. This is what the green line which you see, that is your service endpoint. So it leaves your VNet basically, and after leaving your VNet, there is a public IP using which, and using the Azure backbone network, they go and access the storage account. So there are two security features. Private endpoints, if you want to connect to any PaaS service, like your VM is connecting to storage account, SQL servers, and you don't want that to go on internet, then you need to use private endpoints. Or if you want to connect to any PaaS service, but it's okay, but you want a dedicated line, so there's no issue, you don't want to compromise on latency or anything as such, then there is a feature called service endpoint, which will basically, what will do, it will assign a public IP to the backbone network, and through which the network traffic will route. So for today demo, we'll make use of private endpoint, using which, so I'll have the same demo. I'll have a virtual network created, we'll have a VM created, we'll have a storage account created, and we'll have a file share created. Then we'll mount the file share onto the VM using the private endpoint and using NFS protocol. Make sense, guys? Anyone? Any question with the private and the public endpoint?
Hello.
Yeah.
So this analysis of VM more VM now because an SEO is on the VM
Mm,
network interface part
yeah, that will be on the VM.
because
Yeah.
it okay yes.
So we'll have that protocol installed and everything will be installed. So that will be done on the VM. Okay. So if any question, please do let me know, or we can start with the demo. Anyone? Any doubt? Any question? Let me see. Any theory is pending. No, this is okay. No, this is a demo which is pending. Anyone, guys? Any questions? Let me share this what I have written for your reference. This is from the yesterday session. Okay, everything will not get copied. I'll send an email, no worries. Okay, whatever notes I'm writing guys, I'll put it on the drive, so if you want to keep it for your reference, you can keep it. Okay, let's go back. So we do have a storage account created. Now in the meanwhile, we have the storage account, but we haven't created the file share. I can create the file share now itself. Now if you see the data storage option, I'm just getting one option right now, that is file share. I'm not getting all other options because we selected premium and we selected file share, so that is the only option which is visible right now. So let's keep this as it is, and let's go back to a VM and create a VM first. Let's stick with Ubuntu. So let me select this. Let's give a VM name as VM1. East US is okay. Security standard image 20.04 is okay. Size 1 okay. Password devopsmela at 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. There are two ports which we need to open. One port is port 22. The second one is port 80. Rest everything is okay. There's no changes required, guys. So rest everything, I think it is okay. Just disable this boot diagnostic. Even though if you don't disable this, there's no harm. It will just take few more minutes to boot your VM. That's it. Okay, so let's wait while this VM is coming up. In the meanwhile, I think we can go and create the file share also. Okay, or wait, let's wait. So this is the exact setup we are doing. What you see in this diagram. We'll have the VM, we'll have the private endpoint, and we'll have the storage account where my file share will reside. And we'll have the transaction done within the network using private IP. Okay, while this guy is coming up, let's go to the storage account and let's create a file share. Okay, it's all created also. Good. Okay, give whatever name you want. I'll just name it as file share, or if you want to name it as something like dev or something, you can do that. Provision capacity 1024. This is the provision capacity which you want, you can select. This is what the performance maximum in out 4024. Burst, it can go till here. Throughput rate, see the speed, 203 MB per second. That's the throughput speed. Two protocols selected, NFS as SMB. So as we are using Linux, I'll be selecting NFS. And provision capacity, I don't want to spend this much, so I'll stick with 100 GB. 1024 is not needed, so I'll stick with 100 for now. Just for practice we are doing. Root squash, may always select no root squash, guys. Because what will happen if you select root scores or all scores, there is a great chance that even the root user will not have access to it. Okay, so no root scores is the option which you should select, that is suggested. Now let's create. So what exactly we are creating? We are creating a file share of 100 GB with the protocol and NFS. Okay, this is done. So let's keep this as it is. Go back to the VM and let's log into the VM. There are endpoints which we need to create, but before that I need to make sure that the VM is up and running. Okay, let's go and log in. Okay. Perfect. Perfect. So I'm able to log in successfully. Let me do an update first. Okay, this works good. Now what all things we did? We created a storage account, we created a VM, we created a file share. The next is connecting to the file share. So when you go and connect to the file share, there are two configuration which needs to be done. The first configuration is network configuration. This is the place wherein you will be defining the private endpoints, you will be defining the VMs, and there are many things you will be doing. So let's go and click on review option. And when you come, there are options through which you can connect. Create a private endpoint for this storage account, secure access the public endpoint, then connect from on-prem. So these are the options through which you can connect. So the one which we are using it is the private endpoint. So I can go and click on the private endpoint, and you can click on create private endpoint. We don't have a private endpoint over here. So what is the name of the instance? You can give whatever name you want. There's no hard and fast rule that you need to give any specific names. Give whatever name. So this is, I name it as file share pvt ent point. Okay. Region, it was East US. If you remember, all my VMs are and everything is getting created in the location East US. So don't make this mistake, because if you select some other region by mistakenly, then your endpoint will get created in that region and you will not have access eventually. So East US, stick with East US. Where is East US? Okay. Resources, target subs resources, that is file, that is okay, and don't make any changes over here. Virtual network is automatically selected. So if you see, this is the virtual network which we're using over here, guys, in my VMs. So this was all created by default. So this is the virtual network which we are using with this subnet, default subnet. If you see, this is the default subnet we are using. Stick with it, don't make any changes. Private IP configuration, you can keep it static, but for now we'll stick with dynamic. Do you have any ASG? No, we haven't created any ASG. This is again one more layer of security. If you want to add transaction through ASG, then again you can add ASGs also. DNS, so it will automatically select your subscription and your resource group. So this is okay. Done. So this will, what it will do, it will create a private endpoint within your virtual network. We gave the virtual network information. So within your virtual network, you'll have your private endpoint created, and it will allocate a private IP. Okay, let's wait. So what all things we did? Created file share, have the file share VM created, then we created the private endpoint which we are creating right now. Post that, we'll mount the private endpoint on this particular VM. Okay, Let's wait. The private endpoint will take time, guys. It will take around couple of minutes. So let's wait while this is getting created. Okay, in the meanwhile, anyone has any questions? Anyone, not just related to this topic, any topic which we have done till now?
Yeah, I have a question. But now regarding this, I will rather wait till towards the end to ask regarding the VNet. So yeah.
Yeah, can you do a rundown of the step again?
Okay, yeah, we'll do it. Let's do it now while we are waiting. Okay, let's open a new notepad. Okay, so what is the target we are achieving? We are trying to mount file share on Linux VM. This is what we are trying to achieve. The first step is create a storage account with premium. Okay, wait, got stuck. Okay, with premium, not standard. Why premium? Because you will get an option of file share and you'll get an option of NFS over there. Once it is done, once you have a storage account created, you can have a VM created, a Linux VM, to be very specific, Ubuntu created. So when you create a VM, you will have your VNet created automatically, you will have your subnet created, and you'll have a public IP assigned automatically. If you want to do all this by yourself, then we know it, you can do one, you can go and create VNet, you can create a subnet for yourself and things like that. But if you just create a VM, all this will get created automatically. Once this is there, you can go and create file share. How do you create a file share? You go to your storage account, file share, create file share, assign 100 GB of space, not more. That's the minimum what you can assign. You cannot go below 100, guys, so keep that in mind. 100 GB. Select protocol, NFS protocol. The reason NFS, because we are using Linux, so for Linux it is NFS protocol. If you're using Windows, then SMB protocol and no root squash. This is the option which you need to select. This is the part which we did till now. Now the next part is you need to go in the file share and do network configuration. In the network configuration, nothing but you need to select private endpoint and create private endpoint. This is what we did till now. Okay, are we good till here, guys? Now the next step is, let's go to the endpoint which got created. This is what the endpoint which is got created. Let's go back, go to the storage account. Now let's go to the file share, let's go to the dev file share. Now this is the endpoint. If you see, this is the endpoint which is created. Now I see one more error, secure transfer setting. So if you read through this, secure transfer required is a setting that is enabled for this storage account. The NFS protocol does not support encryption and relies on network level security. So NFS protocol in transit, as if now it's not encrypting your data, though it is all happening within the private network. So in transit, NFS protocol is not encrypting your data. So in such cases, to avoid this error, what you have to do, go to chain settings, disable secure transfer required, disable this and save it. So the next step is disable secure transfer. Okay, Now once this is done, go back to your file share. Now if you see, connect to Linux at the top, and these are the steps which you need to run on your VM in order to mount. Now what are these steps? These are nothing but you're installing NFS protocol, you're creating a mount path, so it's a folder which you're creating basically. Then this is the mount through which, so in short, what exactly is mounting, guys? Mounting is nothing but this file share will look like as a drive on your VM, and you can, like how you work with the local drives, you can start storing your files, folders, whatever you want to that particular drive, but eventually everything will get synced on this cloud storage account. So mounting, in short, it's nothing but it's like it will look like a local drive on your VM. Like for example, if you take Windows, if I'm mounting something, it will have one more drive over here. That is how it will look like. But the only difference will be it will be a network drive, it will not be my local hard drive. Okay, that is the only difference what you will feel. You will not even come to know that it's a network drive. The only person who is mounting and doing things for you, he will be aware what exactly it is. Okay, now let's go and run these commands. I have already run this command update. Now let's go and run this one. I already have a VM login, so go to the and start. So what exactly we're installing? We're installing NFS. See this. So on my VM, I'm installing NFS. Once this NFS is installed, we need to create this directory. The steps are given over here to creating the directory and all, but if you want to create one at a time, you can just run it and create it. Don't worry about this commands and all. The next week we are starting with Linux, so I'll cover all these basics things for you. So if you're not familiar with Linux, guys, don't worry. Next week we are starting with Linux. All these basics commands will covered. How to create a directory, how to manage your files and things like that. I'll cover those. Let's wait while this NFS is getting installed. See. I just installed NFS, but with NFS there are so many other things are getting installed. This is because of these are the dependency. So we'll understand this also when we'll understand package management. Okay, this is done. Now let's go and create the directory. Okay, sorry. The previous line got copied. Okay, we have it now. The directory is created. Now this is the mount command which we need to run. Let me copy this over here. Run commands on VM. Okay. Now this is the mount command which we need to execute. So if you see mount -t nfs mount, this is my endpoint devopsmela SA windows.net. Then this is the folder where I want to mount devopsmela dev file share. This is what we just created. Okay, and this is version 4, mini version 1, and all this we are giving out. Now this is a temporary mount, guys. If I restart my VM, this mount will go. If you want to do a permanent mount, there is a different way of doing it, but for now let's do this. Okay, let's run this command. Done. How do we verify if it is mounted? I can do a mount -l and using grep. What exactly is grep? Don't worry, we'll cover that later. Grep is nothing but it will go and look for the keyword NFS in the file mount -l. If I just run mount-l, how it will look like, see this. It's very difficult to read through it. But what is the protocol we have used? NFS. So if I want to capture that word where NFS is written, only that line, then I can use grep in short. Now this looks good. Now this is what you're showing, that this is mounted. See, mounted. Where exactly it is mounted? Which folder it was? This folder, correct? Now can I go and start adding things to this folder? Let's see it. I'm inside this folder now. Do we have anything? We don't have anything. Let's go and add something. Echo hello world. Okay. Hello.txt. This is a file I'm creating. Okay, it's created. Now this looks very simple, correct? Can anyone say, okay, it's not, whether it's created on file share, whether it is created on local? No, correct? No one can tell me the difference. The only difference is I can just look into the mount, and by seeing the mount I'll know, okay, this was kind of, this is the path mounted on NFS. Now how do I verify if exactly this is going on my file share? If you come to the file share, you will not find anything, guys. Nothing you will find over here. You will not see that file actually. No. Use capacity, it is showing it 13 byte was used. This file is taking 13 byte right now. See, how do you check if it's taking 13 byte? See this. This file is taking 13 byte. But do you see the file over here? No, you cannot see the file over here. How do we actually verify whether this file is coming from this getting stored at NFS, not on my local? I can do it by a reverse trick. I can unmount this mount thing which we did. I can simply go and unmount. So I'll just use this command itself. The only thing is I'll just remove couple of things from here. All these are not needed when you're unmounting, and just write this command umount and just run this. Okay, even the T option is not needed. No search files or directory. Where are we right now? Mount dev. Okay. Let me try this. Let's come out of this drive first. I think it should be mounted for now. It's not unmounted yet. Wait, I think we are using some wrong path. NFS. Okay, we're not using root. Not mounted. We were not using root sudo. That was the reason why we were getting that error, guys. Now this is unmounted. Now if I want to verify, I should not see that text file which we just created in this folder. So let's go in this file and let's see if we have that file. See this. Do we have the file? The one which we just created, hello.txt. It was just created within this folder. That is gone. If it was on my local, I would have seen that file. Correct? That was not on my local, that was mounted and it was getting created on my file share path. Hence it was visible. Now after unmounting, we are not able to see it. Okay, so how do I see it again? I just need to go and mount it again. This is the command. I can go and run it again and I'll do the mount. Make sure to come out of this drive first. Done. This is the path. cd, go to this drive, do ls again. You see hello.txt. So this confirms that yeah, this is coming from your file share is mounted and you can start dumping your files to this location. You got 100 GB of space available and you can start dumping your files. You can start dumping your application logs, your application files and everything right in this folder. Inside this folder, dev file share. This is your name of your file share, correct? Within this folder you have to put it. If you put anywhere else, guys, that goes to your local hard drive. If you're putting anywhere else, so if you want to look what are the other mount points on your local lsblk, I'll talk about this command later. This is your local where your things are getting stored. This is your actual partition where everything is getting stored. But this particular file is on your network file share. Okay, makes sense? Anyone? Any questions? I'll give you these commands, the unmount command also. The only difference is you just have to put sudo at the beginning. That's it. Nothing else. All other commands which you saw, you'll get it when you create a file share, connect from Linux, and all other commands will be visible. The only command you required is this umount command, which will remove the access. Okay, any questions? Okay, I'll save it as a text file on your drive itself. So you can go and access these commands from the drive.
Yes, Rohit, I do have a question.
Tell me.
Sure. So in this example, when you created the VM, like you said, the system or Azure automatically created the VNet and the subnet.
Correct.
And I'm trying to understand, because prior, I think we had to create that VNet ourselves.
Correct.
So why in this instance, pretty much Azure is kind of doing it differently? I'm not sure if I missed a step.
No, previously I have created things on purpose. If you don't create the VNet and the subnet, this gets created automatically. Azure will do it for you. But if you are like, suppose if you're setting up things from scratch and if you want all the security based on your requirement, then definitely you don't have to go with the default option. You have to go and create yourself. Now if you see this was all created automatically by Azure. The only difference is this is a VNet created. They have given you this address space. They have created the subnet, the default subnet and all. If you don't want to, if you don't want all this, create your own. And when you're creating a VM, at that time you'll get a drop down to select your own VNet. If you create your own VNet, so it's up to you. This will save my time. I don't have to go separately create a VNet, create a public IP and all this. I don't have to do it. I'll just do it once. Automatically it will go and create things in the backend. But in reality, when you're doing things from scratch, then yeah, you have to start creating your VNet first, start creating a subnet first, start creating a public IP first, then go and create your VM. And when at that time when you're creating a VM, in the drop down in the network section, you will get your VNet option, which you can go and use it. And if you don't select that drop down, don't select your VNet, again Azure will think you don't know, the VNet is not created, so the Azure will go and create a VNet like this for you, and it will do the thing automatically for you. So this
I
is
see. It makes sense.
just a shortcut kind of, but yeah, in reality when you're setting up things needs to be done from very scratch, all by yourself. You don't have to depend on this automation thing. I think there's a message also. I think there was a message. No one messaged. Okay. Anyone, guys? Any other questions?
Yeah, please. I have a question regarding some networking issue because today I was trying to play with the resource group, created some VNet and NSG. But my question is this: if I have a resource group and I created 2 resource group, right, under the same subscription, and I have 2 separate VNet, how can I make those 2 VNet talk to each other, or are they going to be communicating to themselves just simply because they are from the same subscription?
No.
Okay.
So it's a very good question. Let's open a paint. Okay. Before I answer this, anyone has any doubt with the current topic, the file share which we have just done? Anyone? No one, guys? No doubt on the current? Make sure to practice this, guys, because if you're going anywhere where you have cloud, so definitely this file share will pop up, and they will definitely come and ask questions on this. Okay, so make sure to practice this. Okay, then now answering to the question, we got 2 VNets. Okay, this is
Different
VNet.
resource group.
Yeah, different resource, it's okay. Different region, different resource group, that's totally fine. Different subscription also, it's fine. Okay, so this 2 VNet. Now you got your resources created over here. Think of this resource as your VM1, your VM, front-end VM, which is created where your application is hosted. Okay, the second resource group is this, wherein your database is there, SQL Server database. Okay, to make things more secure, this is what the setup we used to do usually. DB server. Okay, DB1. Now these are in 2 different virtual network. This virtual network range is something 10.1.0.0/16. This virtual network range is something like 10.1.1.0/24. Or not, that will not be 1, it will be 10.0. This is something your range. So though both different public IPs, private IPs, 2 different range, 2 different VNets, 2 different resource group. Resource group doesn't matter in such cases, or a different subscription, whatever you can call it. Now how the transaction from the front end will come to the VM, this from internet, public will try to access the VM, and this VM eventually go and access this DB for fetching data. Now this DB will serve the request, and the request will be set to internet. This is how the transaction will take place. But the problem is how these 2 will communicate at the first place. This 2, how they will communicate. There's no network traffic coming in, going out from here. How this 2 will communicate? There is a concept called, anyone knows this concept, guys? VNet pairing. So through VNet pairing, this transaction which I just drawed, this will take place. So VNet pairing is a concept through which 2 VNet communicates with each other privately, not publicly, privately. So you have to pair your VNet. If you have 2 VNet, so this is the VNet pairing concept which you need to use, using which this 2 VNets will be communicating with each other. And this is very common practice, guys, very common. This strategy which I showed you, front end, back end. So to make things way more secure, we also use such concepts wherein all your front end application is there in one VNet, all your back end application is there in other VNet, and the communication happens using VNet pairing. Okay, make sense? I think David, who has asked this question? Ahmed, correct?
Yep, I totally get the idea of the using the VNet pairing. So how do you implement that?
VNet pairing, very good. Just try it by yourself. Create 2 VNets. I don't have the VNets now. Let me see if I can share some articles. Azure VNet pairing concept. See, virtual network pairing. Try it by yourself. If not happening, do let me know. I can help you out. See this diagram.
Okay. Oh,
This is 2 subnet. There are eventually they are taken on 3 subnets, and through pairing they are communicating. See, the pairing is it's very easy. VNet pairing is not that difficult. Try it by yourself. If not happening, do let me know. We'll do it. Okay.
okay, sounds good. Thank you.
No problem. Anyone else? Any other questions, guys? I'm not starting any new topic today. We'll start. Okay, so Azure Cloud is not done yet, guys. There are other topics in Azure Cloud: Kubernetes services, ACR, Azure Active Directory, SQL Server, SQL databases. There are other topics. The only difference is we'll do that topic when we start with the pipelines, because all are related with the pipelines. So when we are talking about service connection, at that time we'll talk about Azure AD. We'll come to AD and we see what exactly AD is, what is service principal, how the user is created, and all those things we'll understand at that point of time. We'll do Kubernetes when we understand how the bare metal Kubernetes works, what are the components on the master node. Then we'll jump on to Kubernetes. ACR will do when we are creating a Docker image and we want to push the Docker image into ACR. Key Vault, we'll understand Key Vault when we are executing some pipeline task and I want to make sure that my passwords and everything are kept in a Key Vault. It's not exposed in public. From that security perspective, we'll use Key Vault. So all these services will come back to Azure Cloud again and again when we come to these topics, and we'll understand. Monday we'll start with Linux. We'll spend couple of days understanding basic Linux command. Linux is very important. If you want to be a successful DevOps engineer, Linux is important. Forget about DevOps engineer. If you want to be successful in IT, you have to have hands-on experience of Linux OS. I'm not denying that you don't have to have Windows knowledge, but Linux is very important because all your services, all the latest tool, if you even think of DevOps, all your tools like Ansible and everything, it works on Linux system. Though it will come in later in the year, it will come on Windows also, but the first OS where it comes, that is on Linux. So understanding Linux is very important. Okay, so yeah, that's it. This weekend, make sure whatever we did in this 90%, this is all related to security, whether it's VNet, whether it's NSG, whether it's ASG, whether there's private endpoints, and all this whatever we did, whether we talked about availability zone, availability set, VMSS, all these were related to security and resiliency. I'm not teaching cloud in administration to you guys. I am teaching DevSecOps, so it is all security related topic which will eventually come down to you when you start designing the complete application flow. So you have to make sure that all these are well placed whenever it is needed. All these topics are well placed whenever it is needed. So make sure to practice. It is hardly 8 to 9 hours videos we have till now. So during this weekend, make sure to practice. On Monday, if you guys want any doubt solving session, I can have a doubt solving session before even starting a new topic. That is totally fine with me. But make sure practice, come as a group, and we can keep a doubt solving session for you all. Okay, Any question, any doubt, do let me know before we can wind up the call for today. And don't worry
Yeah,
about
Rohit.
this. Yeah, tell me.
Yeah, one question here.
Mhm.
Not related to this actually. As a as an administrator of Azure, okay, what are the services required to learn basically? Can you?
Administrative, yeah.
What?
So yeah, let me tell you. From the cloud administrator, what are the responsibility of the cloud administrator? First understand that. Who is the cloud administrator? The one who creates the infra for you based on the request. The one who manages the infra for you based on the request. He will not go and start setting up some fancy services for you like DynamoDB and all. This is all automated nowadays. Okay, cloud admin role became very minimum nowadays. It's just management part is more what they do. Okay, so VM creation, VM deletion, storage account creation, managing users, managing groups, that is on Azure AD, giving RBAC accesses. All these are the minimalistic roles what they play. Okay, now storage account management, private endpoint creation, service endpoint creation, using Azure monitoring tool to monitor all the resources which is working, using Azure Defender, and then giving just-in-time accesses. All these are the administrative roles. Person will be doing all this for you. Creation, deletion, management. Main role is user management for the even the administrator, because nowadays the creation and all happens through ISC tools like Terraform and ARM templates and all. All this is done using that tool. User management, monitoring, log management, storage management. This is all the rules of a cloud administrator. So
Okay,
if you
thanks.
know this
Sure.
basic, you can be a cloud administrator. But cloud administrator has a very limited scope in future. So if you're targeting cloud administrator, it's better to target DevOps, because DevOps has wide range. After DevOps engineer, you can be a solution architect. You can, no, after DevOps, you'll be a senior DevOps engineer. After senior DevOps engineer, you'll be a solution architect. After solution architect, you can be a principal architect. So it has a very wide role. Plus the salary cap is not limited also for DevOps. If you are a high skilled DevOps engineer, there is no salary cap for a DevOps engineer. Wherein for a cloud administrator, there is a salary cap. And plus most of the cloud admin task is already taken by DevOps engineer themselves. They do it. Even the DevOps engineer
Okay.
does all the things. That is the whole purpose why I'm teaching you cloud. Okay, or I would have jumped
Yeah.
directly on DevOps and started DevOps. Okay, I used to do before,
Yeah.
but now because seeing the requirement in the market, I started with this Linux and cloud also. Okay, any other questions, guys? I'll get both these documents on the drive just for your reference. I'll keep it as notes.
Is it
So,
okay
Rohit,
to share your PowerPoint or no?
PowerPoint is already shared. This PPT is there. You can. I'll share it again today. So
Yeah, I don't have access to it. Yeah.
yeah, what I'll do, no, what I'm doing, I'm can keep so all this topic. If you go and look into my course curriculum, these topics were not part of my course. So whatever I feel is important, I'm adding those. So these PPTs were added today. So I'll keep on updating. Don't worry. I'll upload it again for you.
Okay, please. Thank you.
No problem. Okay, guys, that's it. Thank you very much. Make sure to practice and put your doubts in the group which we created, guys. Don't ping me directly, because I will definitely answer. Even if you ping me directly, I'll definitely respond to those pings. But the problem is your doubt is someone else's doubt. So if you ping in the group, if I respond, I am very much sure there are a couple of others will have the same doubt, and even their doubt will get resolved. So better utilize the group. That is the group. Once this batch is over, I have a different community wherein I have a larger people. I will add everyone to that community once this batch is done. But for now, utilize that group. And if you have any questions, any doubt, put in the group and make the group more interactive. Okay? Sure. That's it. That's it for me. Thank you very much, and we'll all meet on Monday now. Bye bye.